Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Sweet Baby Inc. can claim another victim in their long list of victims that is slowly starting to really get to an astronomical number. But apparently, Sweet Baby Inc.'s client, Avalanche Studios, just recently laid off 10% of its staff and is announcing the closure of its New York and Montreal locations.
What? Oh no, how terrible. That's just awful. How terrible. Oh no.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to be a common trope that's happening in the gaming industry right now. And you're going to have people try to gaslight you and tell you, oh, this has nothing to do with DEI. This has everything to do with companies overextending themselves. And while that is true to an extent, you have to be a complete moron if you choose to ignore the effects that forced DEI has had on the industry that are plain as day. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says Avalanche Studios Group, a client of Sweet Baby Inc., announced that it is laying off nearly 10% of its staff and shutting down its locations in New York and Montreal. That is a huge loss, in my opinion. The fact that they're losing New York and Montreal, those are two big sectors in most gaming studios. Like if they have a studio in New York or Montreal, it's probably because they're a pretty decent sized company, and that is two locations that are very big in terms of gaming. And to close them both down, that's a big loss. The company posted a statement to its website that read, since its inception over 2 decades ago, Avalanche Studios Group has grown to encompass 5 locations worldwide: Stockholm, New York, Malmo, Liverpool, and Montreal. Today, we regretfully announce the closure of 2 of those locations, which is New York and Montreal. This means that we'll be parting ways with about 50 valued friends and colleagues, which represents roughly 9% of Avalanchers worldwide. The statement continued, this is an exceptionally difficult decision, but we believe it's necessary to ensure a stable and sustainable future for the company. Our focus is now on supporting all Avalanchers through this challenging time. We're grateful for the invaluable contributions of those leaving and remaining committed to creating incredible gaming experiences for our players. Now, get woke, go broke. I mean, you can attribute this probably, to an extent. Obviously, it's not the entire story. There's a lot more going on here, but I do find it amazing that when gaming decided to embrace DEI as the forefront of everything, suddenly a couple of years after that embrace, all of a sudden they're all firing people. Like they're all laying off people. Everybody's going broke. They're literally losing 10 to 20% of their staff. Every single studio has let go 10 to 20% of their staff. I don't think there's one studio out there that's in the mainstream that hasn't actually let go anywhere from that number. It's such a ridiculous thing because it didn't have to happen this way, right? Now, here's the thing. Here's the story a lot of people don't talk about. So they did actually overextend themselves. A lot of gaming studios thought that COVID was going to be a thing that was going to last forever. I mean, they thought that everybody was going to be locked in their houses. They thought that digital entertainment was going to be on the forefront of everything. And they're not the only ones that did this. The streaming services did this too, which is why everybody and their mother has a streaming service now, but now they're all consolidating because they're all closing down for the same exact reason. They're probably hit harder than the gaming studios are, but still, gaming is going to follow the same exact route for the same exact reason if they don't turn ship and figure it out. On top of that, though, what gaming did that streaming didn't do is that they decided to go full-fledged ESG, right? So you had streaming services that, yes, they were woke, right? Netflix, obviously, everybody has the joke that when Netflix takes something that's white, they're going to make it black. That's just the truth. That's what it is. But the funny thing is that they still offered other content that wasn't consistently woke. So they were kind of 50-50 on it. And that is essentially what's keeping them afloat. Now, with gaming, they have fully embraced it. Most studios are full ESG ideologues. They go crazy for it. They love it. They're ESG funded. It's all that nonsense that everybody tends to expect. So you have that on top of the fact that you overextended yourself. Now you are not only paying more money in payroll, not only are your budgets higher, but you're also making way less profit because you decided to start making content for people that weren't going to buy your product anyway. You said that you were chasing the modern audience, and that modern audience has been proven time and time again to not exist. Nobody can point to anybody anybody and say, yup, that's a modern audience person. Nobody can do that. The only thing that they really are trying to do when they say modern audience is they're saying they're going to be selling the game to people who are 1% of the population. They're going to sell the game to someone who probably didn't even look their way to begin with. And that person, guess what, is not going to buy the game 9 times out of 10, no matter how much you virtue signal to them. There is a small group that will buy the game and will buy anything as long as they makes them feel validated and they get virtue signal to. But most people, even though they look for validation, are not going to then spend money because they got that validation. That's just not it. Their validation, their currency, their form of currency is Twitter. Their currency is likes and retweets. We say this all the time. It has nothing to do with actual dollars. They would rather get 1 million likes and 500,000 retweets than get $5,000 cash. I'm just being honest with you. That's how these people think. It says that Sweet Baby Inc. lists Avalanche Studios Group as one of its clients on its website. I mean, look at this. This might as well be a hit list. Every single one of these companies has either closed down or lost a ton of money and had to announce massive layoffs. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Xbox Game Studios, Ubisoft, Square Enix. We already know what happened to Square Enix. They went from $390 million operating revenue to $90 million. They lost $300 million of operating revenue in a year because they decided to make a game for modern audiences with Forspoken and Marvel's Avengers. Well, they got absolutely destroyed in that aspect. Warner Bros, Rocksteady, Warner Bros and Rocksteady, $200 million loss in Suicide Squad. I mean, holy crap. Compulsion Games, Avalanche Studio, which we're talking about now. I mean, Remedy. There is just so many studios on here. They're taking massive hits and losing so much money. You might as well just call this a hit list at this point. The company also listed Avalanche Studios' upcoming game Contraband as one of the projects it's worked on. Specifically, the company revealed that it did sensitivity reading, character bios, and script writing for the game. Sensitivity reading. Why do we need sensitivity reading in these games? I will never understand. The fact that people are so sensitive to begin with that you need sensitivity readers, I get frustrated because I really don't. I don't even know. I have never in my life, with the exception of maybe once, met someone that can fall into that category of, wow, you need a sensitivity reader for this psychopath. Like, I just don't. I've never seen it. I've never seen people this weak. Avalanche Studios is the latest in a growing list of companies that are shutting down, seeing poor sales, or are unable to have their games break even after working with Sweet Baby Inc. So again, this article is going to go into the history of Sweet Baby Inc. We've already documented that very much. But what I will say is that at this point, if you are working with consultation companies, you might as well take it that you are going to lose a lot of money. You're not going to, and even if you make money, you're not going to make nowhere near as much as if you would have if you weren't involved with them. And I think at this point, they're going to start trying to keep that as private as possible. If these companies work with consultation companies, they're probably going to try to keep it as hush-hush as they possibly can. The only problem is that consultation companies like this, they love listing the companies that they work with, because then they can make free money from other companies that are going to buy their product, which is just, they're making up problems and selling you the fake solution. That's all they're doing, and taking your money for it. So if you're going to follow this route, you got to understand that the bad news that comes with it. And I think that people are really starting to notice that, and they're going to start to try to hide it. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep working with these groups, because at the end of the day, their mainstream overlords tell them they have to. So they're going to try to find a way to hide it from the public, because that's the only way that they can save themselves from the bad news. But eventually what's going to end up happening is, even if they hide it, even if they get away with it and nobody finds out that they worked with the company up until release, people are going to find out eventually. And once people find out after the fact, now you're going to deal with even worse backlash than you would have dealt with from the beginning. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.